he's threatening to round up his political opponents, Joe Biden, various others in the administration, and prosecute them in similar fashion. Use the Department of Justice, weaponize it, as he would say, to bring legal proceedings against them. I mean, the idea that in November we're going to get a peaceful transfer of power, or Joe Biden remaining in office peacefully, thanks to a straightforward election. I mean, I think that's that's unlikely to happen. I think between now and November things are going to get really rather tense, and then depending on the result and how close it is, possibly quite tense afterwards as well.
Washington Whispers with Alistair Dawber on Times Radio.
Yes, it's that time of the week where we cross the Atlantic to Washington to ask our man in Washington correspondent at the Times of the Sunday Times, Alistair Dawber. Alistair, are you in Washington?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Very good. Very good. I can't really remember why we started doing that, but anyway, it seems important. Now, let's talk about the big trial which is gripping America. Not that one. It's a new one.
The next one, yes, quite. This is Hunter Biden, the son of the president, who is on trial for illegally applying to buy a gun a few years ago. He filled out his gun license form, which everyone in America has to do if they want to buy a gun, and he said that he wasn't using drugs and he wasn't addicted to them. That turned out to be a false claim. He later wrote in a book that he'd been addicted to crack cocaine at the time he'd filled out that form, which has led to this prosecution. And if that's not embarrassing enough, it's fairly the trial has sort of unearthed quite a lot about his personal life, about how his life has essentially fallen apart really in the last decade or so, and of course that's incredibly embarrassing for the president, as we're now just a few months away from the election in November.
And I suppose any attacks then on Donald Trump and his various legal issues is slightly stunted if his response is, well, look, your son is just as bad.
Well, exactly, and it's to the American public, it's a pretty unedifying spectacle. I mean, last week we had Donald Trump being found guilty on 34 counts related to his affair with a porn star, and now we've got the president's son on trial relating to his addiction to crack cocaine. To the average American voter, they might be looking at this and saying, "Are there not two other people that might be a little bit better to be on the ballot?"
So that's what Joe Biden doesn't want to talk about. What he does want to talk about is his crackdown on illegal migration, unveiling a ban on migrants caught illegally crossing the US-Mexico border from claiming asylum. Lots of similarities to what's going on in politics here in the UK. This is Joe Biden talking about how he used an executive order to push this crackdown through, but that wouldn't have been his first choice.
And those who seek to come to the United States legally, for example, by making an appointment and coming to a port of entry, asylum will still be available to them, still available. But if an individual chooses not to use our legal pathways, if they choose to come without permission and against the law, they'll be restricted from receiving asylum and staying in the United States. This action will help us to gain control of our border, restore order into the process. This ban will remain in place until the number of people trying to enter illegally is reduced to a level that our system can effectively manage. They know the border is not a political issue to be weaponized. I'm moving past Republican obstruction and using the executive authorities available to me as president to do what I can on my own to address the border. Frankly, I would have preferred to address this issue through a bipartisan legislation, because that's the only way to actually get the kind of system we have now that's broken, fixed, to hire more Border Patrol agents, more asylum officers, more judges. But Republicans have left me no choice. We'll carry out this order consistent with all our responsibilities under international law, every one of them. In addition, because Donald Trump told them to. He told the Republicans, it has been published widely by many of you, that he didn't want to fix the issue, he wanted to use it to attack me. That's what he wanted to do. It was a cynical and an extremely cynical political move, and a complete disservice to the American people who are looking for us to, not to weaponize the border, but to fix it.
So this is, I suppose, a sign of where the political debate is in America, Alistair, and to try and blunt what is an obvious attack from Donald Trump, having made so much hay with the wall, build the wall, and talking about immigration.
Exactly. I mean, this is an edifying spectacle in American politics, number two this week. This is Joe Biden taking unilateral action to try and stop what's been about 9 million people crossing the border since he became president in January 2021. He tried to get a bill through Congress. The Republicans in the House of Representatives have just said, no, we're not going to do this, because if we were to pass this bill, we think it would give you a political victory ahead of the election. Now, they would also turn around and say, you've had 3 years to do this. Why are you only doing it 6 months out, 5 months out now from a presidential election? But it is absolutely one of the key issues, along with the economy, abortion, foreign policy, that will decide who gets back into the White House in November. And, you know, there have been vast numbers of people coming in, and Biden and the administration know that they've got to do something, even if the numbers don't actually stop or slow down. They've got to do something to show that they're on top of this issue and that they're cracking down on it.
Okay, let's round up the last of the unedifying spectacles. Donald Trump threatening to prosecute his political opponents if he becomes president again. Here he is speaking to the conservative outlet Newsmax.
Wouldn't it be terrible to throw the president's wife and the former Secretary of State? Think of it, the former Secretary of State, but the president's wife into jail. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing? But they want to do it. So, you know, it's a terrible path that they're leading us to, and it's very possible that it's going to happen to them.
So that's him talking, obviously, about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I suppose this whole thing's just a bit depressing, Alistair.
It is an edifying spectacle number three in American politics this week. This is Trump, and it's not the first time he's done it. He sees the trials that he's facing, the 4 criminal trials, well, not 3 because one of them's over, he's been convicted, as a deep state plot to stop him getting back to the White House. And were he to get back to the White House in November, the polls say it's entirely possible. He's threatening to round up his political opponents, Joe Biden, various others in the administration, and prosecute them in similar fashion. Use the Department of Justice, weaponize it, as he would say, to bring legal proceedings against them. I mean, you know, the idea that in November we're going to get a peaceful transfer of power, or Joe Biden remaining in office peacefully, thanks to a straightforward election. I mean, I think that's a sort of unlikely to happen. I think between now and November things are going to get really rather tense, and then depending on the result and how close it is, possibly quite tense afterwards as well.
I can feel a new feature coming on, Alistair Dawber's unedifying spectacle. Alistair, always good.
Each week.
Always good to speak to you, Alistair Dawber, our Washington correspondent. You can read him in the Times and the Sunday Times, of course, with your subscription.